See the mess right there? Right there, the mess. But Jackson had it all done by the time that happened.
And you went out on, huh?
I know. The first thing, you don't take the shortcut and go on the big way, use the road. Well.
That was right. We had these,
So
oh,
this is the only one.
Are you ready?
Yeah, because he already said.
he had something.
Yeah, he said he's got a copy.
I don't think she'll see us.
Well, we may, but maybe, oh, I bet we're not.
See, that's not fair. She might do something weird. And she'll do this. Don't do it, Amy. Don't do it. You're me. Why would you think she's in Florida? She's got a like Afghan cool thing behind her.
Is that on the 9,000?
She's probably Nebraska.
No, that was the one on the president's evaluation.
So which policy?
1523.
Oh, there, of course, I see it now. Yeah.
You should. Oh, what do I? All right, she's ready to tell you the last 3 minutes. I got you, Lisa.
Welcome, everybody, to the Board of Trustee meeting for Scapegoat Community College for September 26th of 2024. We have a full room. Good to see everybody. So we'll call the meeting to order, and I will entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as was printed and sent out to us.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Do we have any citizens' comments, Lisa?
We have no citizens' comments.
Thank you. All right, so it looks like there are no new employees to be introduced at this meeting. So we're glad to hear that things are rolling well, and I hope that all positions are filled or you're taking care of it, I'm sure, so.
We're just going to introduce old employees now. So who wants to volunteer?
Today.
You know how to pronounce my name yet?
Allison.
That was the room that he struggled with.
And now we will have the approval of the minutes for the August 22nd, 2024 board meeting as published.
Actually, September.
Oh.
It'd be August, right?
It'd be August.
It'd be August. We're just.
Just in September, so it's correct. All right. I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Fine. And now we'll have the warrant, Keith, for August of 2024.
Your package is the warrant resolution for the month of August, see where the, for disbursements went. In the month of August of 2024, the college dispersed $4,563,217. And of that, $2,073,171 for CAT construction. So that is paying our operating expenses.
Great, thank you. And entertain a motion to approve that report.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, so good to see that we've got student government report back on, and so it looks like we have a new SGA president. Here we go with a name.
I'd like to introduce, and I've already explained that I am not good with names, and there are several people that have already attested to that, but Jeff Kowalski and Molly Pritchard. Jeff is the SGA president, and Molly, I know, is the Ag Club. President? Yes.
I am gonna talk for a while because we got a lot of things going on in the ag building.
You have 3 minutes.
So I am here representing State Fair Community College Agriculture Club. I am the Ag Club President. My name is Molly Pritchard. Ag Club, we are highly involved on campus and in the community, as we always have been, and we're trying to keep pushing that into the future. We meet every Wednesdays at noon if anyone ever wants to stop by and say a few words or just watch kind of what we do and see our membership. Currently happening down there is our mum sale. We still have mums, so if anyone in this room doesn't have mums yet, go see Kim. She'll be there until 6:15 tonight. And Kim has been working really hard this year to get that mum sale going. It always is. That whole mum pad has been full. We're down to 1 row. I'm gonna get rid of those this week. We have some events going on that we've already done, and then we've got a whole lot to look forward to. We did the back to school bash, which was out there this year, which was really fun. We had a bunch of volunteers go to the Missouri River Valley Steam Engine Association, which was also the National Oliver Tractor Show. So they needed a few more volunteers for the year to go out and help with making sure that event was running smoothly. We've done 2 recruitment events for the year. We went to California for an area FFA meeting and talked to a bunch of students there trying to gauge interest in our program and grow that program for the future, especially with the new building going in down there. We did the Tech Expo that was here on campus. 2 of us sat there and talked to a bunch of students. I think it was roughly 600 high schoolers and middle schoolers that were on campus that day. It was a huge event, huge success. And Monday, we have a group going to Butler for another area of the day. We are working on trap shoots with the Area 6 FFA chapters. We partner with them to score those and make sure that they have enough volunteers to make those events run and that the high schoolers can do what they get to do. Haunted Hayride is coming up on October 19th on the fairgrounds. We're gonna have a spot there again with the Ag Club. Our theme is gonna be Children of the Corn. So a little Aggie theme there, a little weird. In December, we have a really busy week with Jingle on the Green, December 5th here on campus, huge event. The NFPB Bull Ride on the fairgrounds in the Mathewson Center. And the next day is the Sedalia Christmas Parade, which we're also going to be participating in. And then that next morning, we're going to go down to a Collegiate Farm Bureau conference.
Thank you.
In the spring, we only have 3 events set, but there will likely be way more to come. We're going to work the Agriculture Expo in the Mathewson Center and sell sodas and waters. Homecoming is also in the spring, and we like to have a big Aggie group there to cheer on the basketball team and to represent on the homecoming, whatever you call it, for people. And our big tractor cruise where we take a bunch of tractors from here to campus all the way to Green Ridge. And we also have Cattlemen's who normally sponsors that with food. Our Ag Forward events, which are hosted by Central Bank here on campus. We had one last week with drones out on the farm. So someone came out with their display drones and kind of showed how they worked. We had food for that. Those are open to anyone that would like to go to those. We have 2 more coming up. October 22nd, we're going to be talking about land prices in the Thompson Conference Center. November 19th, we will be talking about estate planning, also in the conference center. So if you'd like to go to that, reach out to someone in the ag department. We'll get you on the food list because there is free dinner along with learning information there.
What are those 2 dates again, if you don't mind?
October 22nd for the land prices and November 19th.
Thank you.
We have a farm update. Our calves went to the sale barn about 3 weeks ago, our fall calves, and everything down there is set to calve very soon. So big, exciting times, really busy out there on the farm. Brad and one of our new assistants working down there, Chesney, just built and hauled a whole bunch of hay here to campus to get us through the winter. And our soils class has been taking a lot of test soil samples from down there. We're getting those sent off to Mizzou in the next 2 weeks to do some testing. Random spots here on campus are going to be tested too, just so we can evaluate those. We also have our competing events at PAS, which is Professional Agriculture Students. We work there to compete to better our interviewing and employment skills. We also go to network and to grow our leadership. We went this year already to a leadership conference in the Jeff City area. We went to a sod farm, which was really cool, and Jeff City Home Office to hear from MFA. And our state PAS conference is November 5th through 7th at Crowder College. I think we have a group of 15 students that are committed to go to that this year. Our national PAS conference will be in Wyoming, I think Sheridan, Wyoming. We're probably gonna make a week and a half trip out of that over spring break and a little overrunning into the school year. Last year at our national PAS contest, we placed first and third in career progress for agribusiness systems, third and fourth in career agribusiness planning, and fourth in ag sales interviews. So it was a big year for us. We placed very well. We are on our second year of having a collegiate farm bureau team. We started that in the fall of last year. So we get to work with Jeff City Home Office or Farm Bureau about setting policy and advancing their policy agenda. We went 2 weeks ago to a training day that they host to try and teach us what their goals are and to set our own goals for the semester. We've already reached 2 of those goals, which was having more people interested and to have a resolution set, which is our next thing. There is a legislative proposal on October 7th, where we're sending 4 of us down to Jeff City Home Office to talk about landfills and zoning, which is here an issue in Pettis County. We're working with Bill Taylor to get the actual wordings on what he would like proposed. Philip Ford is another Collegiate Farm Bureau event that's happening the 30th to the 11th. We'll have a truck from Rick Ball sitting out here on the front of campus to collect any kind of food items and money, and that will go to the Caring Closet here on campus. We also want to send a few representatives to the Young Farmers and Ranchers Conference on February 14th to the 16th. We didn't get to go to that one last year. I believe we had an event the same day. We'll also go to their legislative day on February 24th, when we go over and speak to our representatives about issues affecting us and affecting Farm Bureau. There is a mini grant that we also are applying for with Collegiate Farm Bureau. Haven't heard back from that. We should in the next week or so. $1,000 to try and get our program. We also have a few scholarship opportunities for the past year that have been really successful. Addie Berry, who graduated from here last year, got one from a seed association that was awarded to her last night for $1,000. Macy Reed worked with Youth and Ag during the fair with the Sale of Champions, which was great, and she was awesome in that amazing role. I've personally worked with the Missouri State Fair Foundation as an ambassador to the fair. It was a partnership with the Ag program and the Missouri State Fair Foundation to have an Ag student represent them and help out with their events throughout the year. And the last thing that I have is our soup and chili cook-off plus cornhole tournament happening October 10th in the Potter Viewing Building. Everyone in here is invited and encouraged to attend that event. We have people bringing in food to be judged. Dr. Bates here is going to be one of our judges.
I know good chili.
You like extra spice. But you're a cook.
There's free food for anyone that shows up to that event. The cornhole tournament does cost money to enter, so if anyone's interested, let me know. We can put you on that list. And Kim Ryan will be hosting a pumpkin painting at the same time down there. So events for everyone, free food. Feel free to show up and have a good time. That's all I've got.
Is that all, Molly?
I mean, I can come up with more, but we
Okay.
definitely have more.
You did a very good job,
Thanks,
Jeff.
Kelly.
Thank you. Bring it home.
All right. Well, I am Jeff Kowalski. I'm a SJ president. I'm a computer information systems student here at State Fair. The director of student life is our advisor, Amy Schrader. We both went to Orlando over the summer and did some training at the ASGA conference there. We learned a lot, brought back a lot of new things you can bring here to the student government right here at State Fair. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate both of you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Forgot to mention that we have Amy, that is remote tonight. She wasn't able to be here, but at least we have her. So I want to acknowledge that we do see you. Thank you for joining us. So it looks like next is the institutional reports.
Mary Joyner is starting off with the foundation report.
What else got exciting and introduction, right, to learn and so.
Well, I pronounced your name right.
To the board of trustees, I did email you, the information today, also printed information in front of you, it's the exact same thing that I gave to you. The only difference was I also provided you the contact list of our for foundation members. Didn't really think about that in the past, I don't know if you actually, go to the website and look that, but I want you to be aware who actually is serving our foundation currently. I'm gonna give one impressive thing after another, so I'm gonna start with just going back a few years. So if you want to go all the ways back to fiscal 14, I want to tell you where we were at the end of the fiscal year. So in fiscal 14, our total assets for the foundation were $13,235,000. Let's now roll forward to fiscal 24 that we just finished on June 30th. Our fiscal total at this point is $34,544,000. That's pretty outstanding for a foundation.
Oh, Patty wanted to clap.
That's pretty outstanding for a foundation that serves the number of population of students that we do. We do get complimented on that. We are one of the top community college foundations in the state of Missouri. But it is due to many years before I started serving in the office. And I want to explain that we live in a very giving community. I compliment that very many several times throughout the year, and I truly do mean that. This is years of making relationships and those relationships coming forward and explaining what actually is in regards to it. When I talk about those investments, those are our total assets that we hold in our foundation that are endowments. So our endowments are restricted funds. So there's a little bit of drawback of that, obviously, because most of those have restricted applications that they'll apply to. But our college, the information that I provided to you, we started back in 1990 of recording where we were at. Guess what happened in 1990? We had a computer system. So here we go. So in 1990, for the scholarships that we awarded, and again, these are the endowment scholarships, we were awarded $7,200 in scholarships alone. At that point, that was truly scholarships that were endowed, meaning that's the investment policy for our scholarships. Nothing more at that point was really talked about annual scholarships. Today, the amount of money that we give out in our endowment scholarships and our annual scholarships total to $344,389. Obviously, you can see the amount of growth that we've had, but also that's having a lot of people help us out with that growth. So in financial aid, people sometimes ask me how our scholarships are awarded. When each fiscal year comes to an end, as we calculate our scholarship amount, we give that information to the financial aid office. Based on the application, some of our scholarships do have stipulations to tell us that it will only pay for 1 or 2 students. Some give it an amount, and then it's up to the determination of our financial aid office to determine how many students are truly awarded our scholarships. So just to let you know in regards to that information. So when I gave you the information about fiscal 24 and told you where we're at today in the 34 million, back at fiscal 23, when we want to know how much money we actually gained in a fiscal year, from fiscal 23 to fiscal 24, we added $4,709,000. So from year to year, we do have growth. Obviously, we do have some fees that are involved in that. We have a consultant that helps us with our capital campaign. And also we do provide some fees out in regards to that are directly paid for our foundation. The second sheet that I provided to you gives you some information of contributions in the past 3 years. Those past 3 years, some of the things you'll see as a 0, just meaning that project's not continuing, or it's just was a simple fundraiser 1 year and continued off the record. But I want to show that it's for records for sake for 3 years for it. There are a few that you will notice that have a little bit of asterisk in the athletics. We directly, in regards to fundraisers that are the golf tournament and the mouse races, we directly pay those fees out of the foundation directly to those suppliers. So the golf tournament is held at the Sedalia Country Club, we pay that directly. The reason I tell you that is the majority of these things that are shown on this contribution sheet, these are truly ran through everybody's budget here in the college. So when the business office actually bills the foundation office, we actually truly write a check. and then it's reimbursed and expenses are shown on the departments itself. So, but this sheet also tells you how much acknowledgement our foundation does on a yearly basis too. I told you we were known for our scholarships. So to give you information about fiscal 24 that just ended on June 30th, the amount of scholarships endowed alone that were available was $323,273. We used $270,169, which meant we left around $53,000 on the table. Used to, I'd have that moment, I'd be like, how do we leave $57,000 on the table? So I always dig into finding out what the cause of that is. We have two particular scholarships that don't get awarded to the full degree because of stipulations that are on the scholarships. So taking those two scholarships out of the process means that we didn't award a total of $30,139. Then taking the second one out, we didn't award the total amount that was not awarded to our students was $23,719. Of the amount of $323,000 for less than 10%, I can say that's a bonus for the days that we are not even close to that. So I also want to contribute that thanks to our financial aid office. Jennifer Hubbs is our scholarship coordinator and does a fantastic job making sure. We have now went into a new process. We now have applications that we know who's number 1, 2, and 3 in our application pool. So if a student doesn't reach the eligibility requirements, we know who's second in line to receive a scholarship. Or if the student doesn't show up for school and has applied somewhere else, then we know who actually can be awarded a scholarship and keep moving forward. So that's a bonus to what we've done in regards to getting to a true application process that was not handwritten like it was the year I came. The last thing you probably want to know is a little capital campaign update in regards to, since you toured the exciting facility itself. As of today, we have confirmed gifts in the bank of $13,258,357, which of that is 11.1 state funding. The project itself is a $20 million goal is what we've set. The foundation is committed to raising the $10 million of the half of the project itself. I am sadly to tell you, I still do not have the name for the facility, and that's $2 million of that $10 million goal. We have 7 confirmed spaces named at this point. Some of those names can't be released at this point, but I will come forward later on to get that justification on an actual board of trustees agenda, so you know who those names are in the future. And again, like I said, we're still moving forward to our $10 million goal. Going forward, and here we go. So what questions may I answer from all of you?
Mary wants questions. I spoke with her today.
I said, I do all of this to be very nervous and then I never get a question.
Of the ones that did not get the scholarships that did not get awarded, do you attribute that to anything? I mean, I can remember in the past that there was one requirement that they had to write a thank you. And
Yes,
sometimes
there
they
are
didn't
some
do that.
students, so that we still require that. So on all of our scholarships, we do require a thank you note, and there are some students that fulfill that requirement. If it is shown that it's an application that's on their scholarship, and they've read it from the very beginning, so they know they have to write a thank you note. And I'm not even referring to thank you for my scholarship. That's not a thank you note in my book. So I have received those thank you notes before. I have sent them back. I will compliment our health sciences. They get the scholarship today, and then I got a thank you note in my hand tomorrow. But there are some scholarships that we don't get a thank you note. They get red flags. They receive many notifications. They still are not accomplished in it. Shows the amount on their account. The amount does not apply to their account. So it's one of our stipulations. So, and if we have a donor that is no longer living, based on a scholarship that's created, the thank you note comes to our board. So we truly are giving those thank yous out, so people do. Great question. Any other questions?
Think of something.
No, you don't have to. I really don't mind being drilled. I just mean that I try to prepare for numbers and give you as much information that I can, and happy to always answer questions and email, text, or phone call anytime. So.
You know, I think, so I want to compliment Mary and her team and the foundation board. They do a wonderful job for the college. Our foundation's the India many community colleges and some universities in the state. So they do an amazing job on the CAT campaign. you know, I think that campaign's just now picking up speed. You know, I think as that building goes up, people are seeing it and it's real and there are people stepping up to the plate now. And, we have some really promising, proposals out and appointments. So I'm really optimistic that we're going to continue to be successful in our fundraising.
It's really busy. I mean, this is the busy stage. Once you start seeing construction, you want to tour it on a regular basis. We had a great, meeting just yesterday with the admin from here in town in regards to, I mean, they ask great questions. They're very engaging. You never know what the gift might come about it. And we start, from any point and just making sure they're educated on what we're doing.
We have 3 tours along, in addition to the Board of Trustee tour, 3 other tours this week. 2 with business people and 1 with a group of counselors, so, and that's repeating. It's a
daily thing.
tourism business is good.
Well, thank you, Mary, and your team and your board for all that you're doing. Appreciate it.
All right, Dr. Kara Barth Fagan, you have a lot of pressure on you now because we've had some really good reports, so you continue on with
Well,
Teaching and Learning Innovation Center.
all right, well, keep going. I have a short presentation that Lisa's gonna pull up for us. And thank you all for having me. I just wanted to reference the place card that we got. It's also displayed on the back wall that shares the strategic themes that we are working on this year. And I'm just so excited because I'm number 1. I get to work on number 1, which is the focus on teaching and learning. And we're creating a Center for Teaching and Learning Innovation. And so I got put in charge of that. And early back in March, we created a committee that met to kind of form a mission statement and a vision statement. We also interviewed a bunch of other communities, other colleges that had those. Let me close out some of these things, maybe that'll help. That had the Center for Teaching and Learning, so we could get ideas of how and what we wanted to do and moving forward, what we would do. So just as a reminder, our strategic theme is number 1. So we're going to ensure exemplary teaching and learning. And the reason we're going to do that is because we haven't done so well on the student surveys. They have said that we don't teach them well, they aren't engaged. And so we want to ensure that our instructors have all the tools that they can have, like be armed with, to teach their students and maybe meet their students at their needs. And we have made this a fast goal. That is just a little reminder. So our mission statement, that the group that consists of Devin Kaiser from Division 5, Danica Doyle from Division 4, Jamie Privet from Division 2, and Brandon Henderson, who is our instructional design technology person, and myself. We put our heads together and we came up with this mission statement. So we want to provide those training sessions for our instructors. We want, and anyone else that wants to come learn about it. We have a lot of people who come to us that teach, that haven't been in the classroom or haven't been formally trained in education. And so this is a great opportunity for us to teach them how to be better teachers. Of course, these are some highlights that we want to make sure that we touch on when we are offering the professional development opportunities to our staff. And then the last couple of slides here, I'm visiting all of the divisions. I have 3 tomorrow that I get to go visit. And I'm asking them for their suggestions of days that they are most available, times of the day that they would most likely attend, and suggestions of what they want to learn. And I've already had 29 people fill this out. But some of the things that we've come up with, and this is not limited to just these things, but people want to know about how can I manage my time better? How can I prevent myself from being burned out? How can I be a better teacher in the classroom? What are some of the best practices? How can I work with students who are of concern? And so as I am collecting these will be sessions that we look at. but we've also created during the fall break, a week of professional development opportunities in which we're going to highlight some of those things. And if this works, fingers crossed, I'll be able to show you that. We have a full week of professional development opportunities for all faculty, staff, all employees, and they're color coded by dark blue being employees, light blue being staff, and yellow for faculty. And I don't know if you can see those very well, but some of the people in this room are offering sessions. We have some great topics supporting neurodiversity in your classroom, suicide awareness. We've got someone coming, and I'm going to scroll down because there's more. Someone coming in to talk to us about civilian response to an active shooter. So all of these things are important in addition to being a good teacher, but we're going to offer these the week of fall break. And in addition, we have some other fun things going on. So that's what I'm in charge of. That's what the Center for Teaching and Learning is about. Do you all have any questions for me?
I wonder how you make that State Fair Community College star come over. That was very
Can employ you in some professional development.
Go to class.
I borrowed that logo
I love it.
from.
I think whenever you do your presentation in Seattle, I don't know, it was just kind of like, wow. Cool. Very nice.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Bogdagan, thank you very much, and we appreciate your leadership on in this important area of the
Appreciate
college.
the opportunity.
Thank you much. All right, next on the agenda is, we have some board approval bids. So I think Keith's going to, get us started on those.
So in your packet is the collection of, I did a.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that sounds like
Yeah.
perfect
Oh,
for my
yeah.
eye. But maybe.
Oh, perfect. So we have grouped these into a consent motion on the bids, so I'm gonna do each one with you very briefly, then we can go through and give a consent bid, but you've got on here the Lamo House demo and infill on here. We've got replacing, a portion of the residence hall roof, some CNC lathes, a portable X-ray machine retrofit, and a trained DDC control system for the Hecker Gator chiller system that we are switching over. So recommend the board of trustees to set the following bids for State Fair Community College purchases agreements as shown on the table. Any item in the table, though, may be removed and taken up as a separate purchase if so requested by any member of the board. Otherwise, all bids we voted on with one motion. It's further recommended that for each of these approved bids, and as required, Vice President of Finance Administration be authorized and directed to sign any and all agreements, perform those acts as necessary to carry out the terms of the agreement. Funding is as shown in the table.
Okay, so as mentioned, that we could do it, as one or something can be removed. So what is the pleasure of the board? Do we have any in particular we want to have pulled out? Have questions about?
I think these are pretty straight forward. And there's a couple of projects on here that we talked about and really wanted to see happen. So I'm comfortable with a consent motion to make the motion that we approve the 5 bids presented in item 9 on the agenda.
Okay, any other questions or discussion on any of them? Example time if you need it. I'll just remark about the Lamb House. So I was one of those who am old, so I remember it being, so while I know it's something that isn't probably in our strategic plan to keep it, I remember the family, I remember how this all looked way back when I was in junior high as they were beginning to talk about. So, while we, talking about demoing that building, there are memories that take place with that. But I see that there's a need to move on. So just, no, that's one of those things, just come on. All right, so any other questions or discussion? All those in favor then, of, all of the, approving all of those bids at once, say aye, yes. All those- all those- no. All those opposed, same side. Thank you. Yeah, I guess in my emotional thing here about, yeah. All right, so it looks like new residence hall change order.
Doing the same thing did as to one motion with the, there's three change orders on this. One of these is actually a credit for changing from copper to PEX. We've had a change order for PEX, the copper come in prior to this. We did we've had to do some site drainage upgrades, and then there's some soffits and structures still we need to build soffits around to meet some of the fire codes. So that's what those are. With the same procedure, recommend the board of trustees to approve the change order request from professional contractors engineers to the new residence hall shown on the table. And if any item wants to be removed and taken up as a separate request, you may do so by requesting a member of the board. Otherwise, we will all be voted on the motion, and the funding for all these is the residence hall.
Again, pleasure of the board. Anything need to be pulled out?
Might be noted that the net result of approving these change orders would be a reduction in the construction budget of $18,000.
On these items, yes.
These. On these. So make the motion that the change order requests 11, 15, and 16 be approved.
Ready? Want to hear a second? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. All right.
Switch, yeah, she's switching
I'm
up on it.
switching, I'm
Keeps our toes.
All right, the next one on the agenda is Desi Area Career Center Construction Grant.
Still here, Eric?
Yeah.
Hey, want to say anything? The
Um,
answer is yes.
yeah, well, I'll stand up here with Keith. This is the fourth year that I think we've received money from DESI on this area career center construction grant that Local Parks has put in place. $5.5 million budget every year. We've been blessed by being able to receive funds each year for that. Keith has been a big asset to this. He puts numbers together, then we apply for it. And this year we were fortunate enough to get 700,000 for us. We do have to match that, but it really helps in completing what we need to get done for our area person. So.
You might, do you know what DESI is? Having a new board member, what DESI is?
Education.
Okay, all right, just,
Yeah.
that's what education does.
Right,
is,
there you
So I wanted to make sure you knew what that was.
Well, Eric, you're being too modest. I think a lot of the credit, Keith does a great job with the numbers. They're a great team. They even dress in complimentary outfits for this presentation, but Eric is a wonderful leader, and his relationship with the DESI folks, I think, contributes to that. He's a go-to person with them, and I appreciate your work. Thank you as well.
Absolutely.
And every year we apply for more than we get. And so if you notice, this year was the largest we've gotten in a year. Still not as much as we applied for, but more than we have gotten a year. So that's been very good. So we'll go through officially on this. So this is for the CAT building. For the CTC portion automotive in that. So, and we have plenty of money to match it, plenty of expense to match it, I should say. So Missouri House Bill 2, the Missouri FY25 DESI budget allocated $5,500,000 to the Department of Elementary Secondary Education for the design, renovation, construction, and improvements of career technical centers, provided that local matching funds be provided on a 50-50 state-to-local basis. State Fair Community College applied for these and has been awarded $700,000. We got $700,000 of the $5.5 million, $700,000 for the CTC portion, the Center for Advanced Agriculture and Transportation Technology, Design and Constructions. Funds must be spent by May 15, 2025. Put you there. It's recommended the Board of Trustees authorize the President to accept these DESI area construction grants as described.
Can you repeat a motion?
So moved.
So we'll let one of them be the motion, one the second, all right? Any questions or concerns? Remarks?
It's $700,000, and as Keith said, we have more than $700,000 in expenses to match.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for all your hard work. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we're hearing Amy, we heard you. Thank you. Okay, now to propose policy changes. Dr. Bates.
Continuing in our policy and regulation review and revisions, policies, as you know, are approved by the Board of Trustees. And so we're bringing forward several policies like Keith has established as the tradition here. We can approve all of these at once, or if there are any you would like to pull out as we go through this, we can pull them out and vote individually or make however we want to do that. I'm going to go through each one. The items are in items 9A through E in the board packet. Those, no, well, sorry, 12. On 12, and those are the final policies, so it's hard to kind of tell what the original policy looked like. So I'm just going to go through and kind of explain what changes were made very briefly. Most of them are relatively minor changes, and what was one new policy. The first one is policy 0411, and this is about the meeting agenda. In the previous policy, it required the agenda to be posted in each campus building prior to the meeting. And we are now going with digital signage. We're reducing our bulletin boards footprint in the buildings. In addition, state law, the Sunshine Law, requires only a public posting outside the board meeting, accessible to the public. It doesn't require it to be published in every building. And in addition, we also distribute the agenda to all employees on the portal, and it's also posted on the website. So we exceed the intent of the law, which is to make public our board agenda, and that's not dependent on paper posting in each building. So that this change is just to remove that section requiring that be posted in each building. Any questions there? Hearing none. 0510, policy and regulation development and review. Other than just some typographical changes in this policy, on the second page says that we will only take new policies in January. This policy was approved in 2007. And I don't think since 2007, there was ever a time when we only just took policies in January. And maybe most of the time we didn't even take policies in January. So that requirement's been removed from that policy. In policy 1333, use of alcoholic beverages on campus. Throughout the policy, it always the old policy associated the approvals and the execution of this policy to the foundation and the Dahl Museum. And originally it was narrowly applied to events, art openings at the Dahl Museum. The practical application today is it's always through the foundation, not always involving the Dahl Museum. And that's really not the role of the museum. So we've struck to run this policy, all references to the Dahl Museum and left in the foundation. We considered the policy of Missouri Valley. Their policy is alcohol is allowed wherever the president is. So we thought about that briefly. The next policy is policy 1375. I've also included the regulation 1375, just so you can see what it looks like. That doesn't require your all's approval, but it's through our internal processes. I was thinking about how we honor people in the community that, have supported the college in various ways. And one of the only ways we have to do that is through the Distinguished Alumni Award. And, that is truly a great honor, and we've honored great people, but there are other people in the community that support the college that aren't alumni. And so I was thinking of ways to do that, and I know that primarily at universities, they offer honorary degrees, and I thought that would be a great way to honor people in the community that support us in a variety of ways, but aren't necessarily graduates. Doing some research with the help of Dr. Murders, we found other community colleges that do this in the nation. I think we should be honored to give an associate's degree to people in community. We should be proud of that. Some people think it's less than a PhD or other degrees. I don't believe that. I am proud of the associate degrees. We should be proud of that, and people in the community, I think, would be honored to receive that. So this policy establishes the ability for us to honor, to provide honorary degrees, which would be awarded at the graduation, either the December graduation or the spring graduation. And the process is more explained in the regulation. Any of our degrees could be awarded probably aligned with the contribution of the person. Some areas, educational service, humanitarian service, servant leadership, fine arts, entrepreneurial leadership are some areas for that. The process for that would be established by the college president with a recommendation brought to the board of trustees for approval. So, and then they're finally always in these kind of things as a way to revoke the honor if somebody dishonors that degree. One of our fellow colleges gave a distinguished alumni award this year, and the person was arrested soon after. So those kind of things happen today, and yeah, so any questions on that or suggestions? All right, rolling on. Policy 1390 is on volunteers and community advisory groups, and that policy is really not even needed. It's worthless to us in terms of how we operate, and we're proposing deleting that. Policy 1523 is for evaluation of the college president. So I considered eliminating evaluation of the college president. I didn't think that would be wise, but that policy previously said that the president's evaluation will be based in part upon the president's annual goals provided to the board of trustees. And so the policy read that the president would provide the goals to the board of trustees, and I don't think that's really the way it should be. It's been a collaborative process. The board establishes those goals with some input from the president. So that's been changed to say the president's annual goals developed with the board of trustees as part of the previous year's evaluation, or prior to the beginning of the next fiscal year. So that's the change in that. Richard, did you have a comment on that one, or?
When the time comes, I'm going to propose an amendment to that policy. I believe I have a couple of comments about
Do
it.
you want to go ahead and make those comments now, and then, decide how you want to handle that?
Okay, all right. I would like to proposed a substitute for policy 1523 as presented. Couple of things. In reviewing the evaluation policy for other administrators within the college, that policy provided for a self-evaluation to be done and submitted as part of the evaluation process. So I'm suggesting that in addition to the 360-degree evaluation, that we add a by policy that the college president present the self-evaluation as part of the process. Dr. Bates did that at the last time we did evaluation, but I think by putting it in, that makes it consistent with all the other administrative positions within the college. The other thing I'm proposing is that the proposals that the secretary of the board will facilitate the evaluation process. And that means developing a 360 questionnaire, contacting all the appropriate people, gathering the information, and
Taking away my time.
putting it together. I don't necessarily know that the board secretary has all those resources, has all those contact informations. So I'm proposing that the executive director of human resources will facilitate the evaluation process as directed by the board of trustees. Because the
You're fired.
I mean, and I'm sure the secretary doesn't know what he's doing. Big boy.
Other thing is that the executive director of human resources has the 360 evaluation form and format that is being used for all the other employees. And I think by just bringing in the human resources director, that it will help facilitate the process. We will I think it's stated that the board will still be responsible for setting the scope and the direction, but this provides that the executive director can be asked and expected and can advise the board with respect to the evaluation process. So that's the policy change that I would like to submit.
I'll just say too, when this policy was developed in 2004, the practice was that the president's secretary, who was also secretary of the board, facilitated the evaluation.
So you're
But there might not
Lisa's
have-
juice.
But that's really not the appropriate place either for the secretary of the president.
We might not have even had a human resource position. You know,
Right.
I don't know how,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
was,
as our
it
colleague just wrote.
was a part-time position.
And actually, the executive director of human resources facilitates evaluations for everyone else on campus and in any facility. So that's the rationale.
Any questions or
Well,
concerns?
done, Robbie, and my police and I, come on, what do you think? You're the HR guy.
No, I think
Does it
it,
make sense to you? Feel
yes,
comfortable with that?
sir. I think it makes complete sense and 100% confirmed.
There you go.
All right, and then, policy 8200, information technology. This is, our advisory committee for IT does an annual review of policies in their area. So this was one of the policies they reviewed and made some changes to. And, quite frankly, most of those changes were, just kind of, updating the language in the policy, so they really didn't change the purpose of the policy.
I think the major change was the deletion of some language in the policy.
Yeah.
And then that talked about that probably should have been more applied to the development of the regulation and didn't need to be in the policy itself. And I think that's the main import of the policy change revision.
And then finally, policy 9100, that policy, previously stated that the Board of Trustees authorizes the Marketing and Communication Office to ensure, empowered that office to ensure the dissemination of accurate, clear, consistent information, et cetera. In policy 0340, it states that the board gives the president the responsibility for implementing policy and for administering the college. So this policy is, as I reviewed policies, probably is the only one that's inconsistent in that application. It appears like this policy gave the director of marketing and communication that responsibility to administer instead of the president. So even in the budget or in other areas that still lies with the president to implement that. So it doesn't reflect it all on the marketing and communication office, and the ability to do that just makes this policy consistent with the other policies of the institution. So did I get all of those policies, regulations? So Richard has made some amendments to the policy. You could approve all of the policies with Richard's as amended, or separate his out and do it separate.
I just have, I don't know if I want to ask my question now, or do we want to make a motion first?
You might need to make it now.
So I just want to clarify policy 8200, as we are talking about technology for the board. Should we be covered in this policy, or are we covered in a different, for clarification?
It's all technology.
Right, but it states students, faculty, staff, and public. Are we considered part of the public if we do the route of issuing technology to board members? I just want to make sure we're not having to come back and re-amend this.
In this case, you are categorized as the employee side.
Okay.
But I see where you're coming from.
Good point.
As long as we're covered and we don't have to re-amend that later, I'm good.
Okay. All right, so pleasure of the board. Do we want, I guess I'll say, do we want to pull any out?
I think for clarity, we should.
Pull it out? So pull out.
I would-
1523.
Well, I think I'd be a little more clear even than that. We have one new policy, 1375. We have one policy to be deleted. We have then 6 policies to be revised. And I think we ought to approve the new policy, delete the existing policy, and then approve revisions. But I would like to have a move to amend to substitute a substitution for policy
And it's the
1523.
minutes, make it clear what we did.
So we'll make a motion for the new, make a motion for the delete.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd make a motion that the Board of Trustees approve policy 1375, a new policy to award honorary degrees as presented.
Okay. Do I hear a second? Right, is there any discussion on that one? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the deletion of policy 1390.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I move to approve the revisions as presented to policies 0411, 0510, 1333, 8200, and 9100 as presented.
Second.
Okay, any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I would make a motion to approve the substitute language offered with respect to policy 1523.
Second.
I'll note that that policy change has been some shared in writing in printed form with all the other board members.
Okay. Do we have any questions on that? Any more discussion? Amy? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, Richard, for leading us on that one. All right, looks like it's time for president.
All right, I have just as lengthy as recorded the students did, so buckle your seats. Let's turn to the calendar of events, 2 pages back. Note that the Mousetrap Theater production starts October 2nd. You can purchase your tickets online or let us know if you'd like to see the tickets for that. October 5th is the 3rd annual Mouse Races. If you haven't already sponsored a mouse or plan to attend that event, it's a fundraiser for the athletic department, and the funds are going to the outdoor athletic facilities. It's a fun event, and so I'd encourage you to do that. If you'd like to, you can contact us if you'd like to sponsor a mouse or get tickets for that event as well. On October 7th, we have a Chamber of Commerce ribbon cutting at our new Jefferson City site. Not expecting the Board of Trustees to attend that, but you're welcome to attend, and if you would like to attend, let us know. And I have a schedule of meetings after that event, so we would have to, I can't share a ride unless you'd like to hang out with me the rest of the day, which is fine too. But we have others that are going over, and we could carpool if you'd like to go, so just let us know on that event. October 8th, the instrumental concert. The 10th is the choral concert. And then finally, I want to note the October 14th to 17th fall break for students. So this, Dr. Murders, I'm going to give credit for this. It's turned into a wonderful idea and opportunity. We made some revisions in the academic calendar to add a fall break week between the first 8-week session and the second 8-week session. The students are off the entire week, but staff get the Friday, faculty and staff get the Friday of that week off, but Monday through Thursday, there's professional development as Kara described in that. There's some great activities going on there, some great professional development. The classified staff organization has organized and planned a full day or at least an afternoon of events, professional development for that group as part of their kind of revitalization effort. I'm excited about that. And we have a celebration that I'll talk about in just a second at that event as well. So it's really going to be, I think, a great opportunity, and I want to applaud Dr. Murders for bringing that idea to the campus. So those are some events on the calendar. We also, Monday of this week was the census enrollment, and Judy was on it and had a report prepared for census. I guess it was Monday of last week. She had a report ready to go for ELT Tuesday, and I said, Judy, can you just come and give that wonderful report to the board? So she's doing that to give a little insight into our census enrollment. You want to run the mouth, you want me to?
Oh, I'll do it.
Okay. Doesn't trust me.
So every semester on the 20th day of class, we take a snapshot of the students. And that's what we use whenever we do the state and federal reports. And so just so we can compare to past years, see how we're doing. So this fall, our head count is 4,242 students. They're taking a total of 40,098 credit hours. We want to compare that to last year. We increased by 488 students, which is 13%. Huge increase there. The credit hours went up by 11%. Now, all the institutional research directors around the state, we kind of send numbers to each other. There's a few states that have not reported yet, but you can see the changes there, that it wasn't just a bummer crop, that we really did have a significant growth there compared to the other schools too. Went from East Central went down by 10%, and the Three Rivers went down slightly, and the others just had some nice increases, but not the whopping 13% that we had there.
No double digits.
Hey. This is just a chart, shows for the last 14 years how we're doing. And so you can just visibly see the last column there. It kind of just takes that nice jump. Everything is broken down by race. And so here's some numbers of our breakdown. 80% white. Minority is about 20%. And last year it was 19%. So we've increased our minority population. Overall, in our 14 county service area, minority is 12.7%. If you look at what it was last year, our Hispanic population grew by 23% and our African American population grew by 37%. So that's wonderful. Full-time, part-time status is about 50-50 there. Residency is based on if you're in our taxing district or not. So in our taxing district is about 30%. Those that are from Missouri but outside of the district, 67%, and we have about 3% that are out of state. In our 14 county service area, where 70% of our students are coming from there. You look at what type of classes they're taking, 37% are taking all of their classes online. 34% are taking both a mixture of online and in-class, and 29% taking all their class face-to-face. So roughly 63% of students are taking at least one of their classes face-to-face. And if you look at a history since 2016, you can see that the online has grown and now it's taken a little bit of a dip going back down. Age-wise, we're a very traditional school. Most of our students are under the age of 24. Our median age is 19 and our average age is 21. If you take out our dual credit high school students, then our median age will go up to 20 and our average age is 23. Gender, we have 65% female, 34% male, and nationwide that's 59% female. So we do have a higher percentage of female than the average community college. Now I'm looking at just the first time college student, and male, female, we have 60%. Age group, very traditional, they're 18 to 19 years old. 80% of them came straight from high school, which means 20% of them took a gap year, at least one gap year. Median age for just the first time students is 18, average age of 19.6. For the first time students, we have more percentage for full-time, 86% full-time. Residency is 24% in our taxing district, 70% in Missouri outside of the taxing district, and 6% from out of state. If you look at the 14 county service area, we have 62% from the 14 county. And if you compare that to the non-first time freshmen, it's 72.8%. So that's kind of a big difference there. And I can tell you those numbers, but I can't tell you why there's that big difference. I just thought it was interesting to note that the newer students are coming from outside of the service area. Our 1 year retention rate, which we always report to IPEDS, is 60%. And over the last 5 years, we did have a big jump in 2021, but 60% is about normal for us. And those are people that were here in the fall, they either graduated or returned the following fall. 63% of our students are first generation, meaning neither of their parents have graduated college. And that's important to know when they might need a little more help navigating around. And that is an increase from the years past. This is a breakdown of a site. When a student applies, they say, this is the site where I'm gonna receive my services. This is not necessarily where they're taking classes, but just where they signed up to say, this is the location that's gonna help me with my financial aid applications, and if I have questions, I'm gonna go ask them. So there's not really anything that stands out too much there. Eldon has increased, Clinton is going up quite a bit. This is just a graph of that over the last 7, 9 years there. So you can see, this is a student head count. The next chart has got credit hours by site. So this is where they're actually taking their credit hours, and you can see online and Sedeti are both way up there. And then this middle one here is our dual credit high school students. And then we have the different sites. The little yellow one is Jefferson City, is just growing very well. So I did want to highlight Jefferson City since it's still kind of new. And we had 60 students who said, this is where I'm going to get my services from. About 50-50 for the male, female. And here's where you can see the Black African American. They are 57% Black African American. So their minority rate is 68.3%. And their average age is the same, 19%. So if you were to take out all of the Jefferson City students, our minority rate would go from 19.2 to, or 19.9 to 19.2. So thank you, Jefferson City. Helps us out. They are taking, so we had 60 students, but not all of them are taking a class physically in Jefferson City. 33% are taking them strictly online. And 37% taking a mixture of both, and 30% are taking all in person. They're taking a total of 625 hours. I wanted to look at dual credit high school students because they make up 35% of our population. This year we had 1,499. Last year we had 1,243. So we had an increase of 276, 22%. Their male-female breakdown is about the same as the overall, and of course, they're very young. The top 10 high schools, Smith Cotton was #1 with 229, and then Camdenton was 111. If you compare that to last year, Smith Cotton went up by 98 students. Camdenton went up by 26. Warrensburg and Warsaw both had sizable increases there. But that was interesting. The classes taken by the high school students, they're taking their English, public speaking, history, getting their basics out of the way. They take, most of them, 58% are just taking one class. And then you add in 25% more are taking 2 classes, but we do have 17% that are taking 3 or more classes. And when I saw that number, I thought, is that right? I better do some spot checks. So I did some spot checks, and the first student I pulled up happened to have the last name of Bates. So I thought, all right.
17 credit hours.
Yes. So they're the go-getters and trying to get their degree probably by the same time they graduate high school. That's all I have.
Any questions for Judy? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
One of the questions you might have is, of that enrollment growth, have our investments in programs paid off? Is that paid off in increases in enrollment? So at your desk, I put a credit hours generated by department chart. The green areas are up, the pink areas are down, and the rank order of change is over to the side. So if you look at, the top enrollment area, practical nursing is number 1 and, ABN nursing's number 8. Number 2 on the increases is history. Number 3 is healthcare specialist degree. And, so that's a program where we invested in a faculty resource. That's right.
That was Farm Tech and CNA.
Oh, okay. Then which one is the medical,
That's focusing, it's
Yeah.
on it, it's on there.
it's increased.
Right.
Yeah, it's number 7. There you go. I just got off. And, if you look welding, the metals technology welding is number 9. So that investment there, surgical tech increase there in that new program. The HVAC program, of course, increased in the first class, but I think that program is full. So I think you'll see, as you examine these numbers, that with a few exceptions, all of those invested areas are up, and the ones that are down are just down slightly, just a little bit. So I think those investments are paying off in terms of service for the community and providing the stuff that they have. So any questions about that? All right, so that's the enrollment report. The last 2 bulleted items there, we have 2 major planning initiatives that are going on this year. One is our updating of our strategic plan, and Darcy McPhail is leading that initiative. We are first putting together a small team to help design the process for that strategic plan. Really, the question is, how can we get input from our community in that strategic plan? And we would like a board member to serve on that small team. So we have asked the president of the board to appoint somebody to that. So if you are interested in that, please notify Ms. Wood, and she will let us know who that is. Then same thing, the campus master plan is kicking off. Keith has prepared a request for qualifications to be sent out to folks that work in that business, provide campus master planning services. And so that process, if you have any input and thoughts on that process, we need to know tonight. Otherwise, Keith is prepared to send that out on Friday. But that process will also include a board of trustees member. Ultimately, the recommendation will come to the board with the whole plan for approval. But we would like 1 or 2 members of the board to serve on that master planning committee. So if you're interested in that, again, we've asked the president to nominate 1 or 2 board members for that campus master planning committee. I've got 3 other announcements. One, I want to recognize Darcy. She this week was elected president of the Council of Accreditation of 2-year colleges. She really wasn't elected this week. She was president-elect coming in. She took her office this week. So that's a national organization of accreditation. So we're really proud to have our queen of accreditation here on campus leading national efforts on that.
Put that on your name tag.
That's what I'm saying. It's official now. Minutes.
Today, the athletic department hosted a business appreciation event, and thank you, Justin and Patty, for attending that. But as part of that event, it's recognizing businesses that supported our athletic program and providing an update to them, but also talking about our new athletic facility. And this was the placemat at that business appreciation event, which includes an artist rendering of that. There have already been changes in that plan, but that's kind of how it's going to look a little bit, and thought you might be interested in seeing that. Finally, about a month ago, in my communication to you, weekly communication to you, I said that I received really good news that day, but I couldn't tell you until the end of the month. And a couple of you ribbed me about that I was holding back secrets and things like that from you. That I am now able to announce that, consistent with our strategic initiatives and our vision to be the preferred employer of choice, yesterday, State Fair Community College was awarded the Sedalia Democrats Large Employer Best of Sedalia. So we were picked the best large employer of Sedalia by the readers of the Sedalia Democrat. In all of the categories, there were 693 nominations. There were 58,000 plus votes in all of the different areas. There were more than 2,000 people who voted in those categories. So quite a few number of people. So we're honored to be selected the large employer, best Sedalia large employer. There'll be a banner that will hang out front. Those banners have been backloaded. So as soon as it gets in, they'll provide it to us. So that's President's report.
Thank you very much. That's a good news. All right, Keith, we ready for the financial report?
Maybe a short amendment to Dr. Bates' report, maybe early next week, before I get the campus master plan.
Okay, that's acceptable. So
Okay.
Month things report. Really, there, what I would say to you is we are probably right on budget with that. I don't see anything sticking out. I want to point out one thing on here. Local property tax budget of 4.72 is probably going to be a little bit high this year. When we did this budget, we had anticipated that our property tax would probably go in line with inflation, which is always has about 3%. As we reported earlier, the appraisal values came actually a little less than, so essentially we should be the same amount of tax income as we had last year, which would mean we probably be about 4.6 million instead of 4.7 million. I think there will be others on here that are probably be going over budget, but we'll watch that. But just so you are aware that when we did this prior to getting all the assessments back, we had anticipated about a 3% that. So that's probably not going to happen on that. Otherwise, I feel good about where we are. I feel good to where tuition and fees are at this point in the year. Our expenses, while we are doing a lot, we're fixing a lot of things, aren't well in line with where I expected to be this point of year. General revenues or expenditures are actually surprised me. We are ahead of where we were last year at this time. So I would say at this point, which is really effectively, the first after 2 months, I pretty well know where tuition and fees are going to be because your boss wants to set the stage for your spring semester. So I would say we're right on target there, perhaps a little lower. We'll have to see what retention does. Everything else seems to be in line with this. So no shocks, no surprises other than slightly little bit of the local property tax, otherwise like where we are. Purchases made. We are with Schillers, we are buying the Wi-Fi, the panels to put up the digital signage throughout the campus now. But that purchase was actually made back in July and we paid for it in August, so you're probably hearing about it September. Closer to get that going, continue to do advertising, and then we continue to have HVAC repairs. All going that. So that's my report for this moment.
Thank you very much, Keith. All right, next on the agenda is board discussion. I've had Mark, I've asked Mark if he would share, we talk about, bringing some technology to the board, so that we don't have, it's a time thing, it's an expense for paper. And so Justin and I are on that committee, with Lisa and Dr. Bates and Mark to kind of discuss, where do we want to head? So we've made a decision, but I just said, Mark, I think you need to share, because he's the one that's really, he and Lisa are doing the work. So Mark, share with us what you think's coming next for the
Sure.
board.
Sure. Well, we did make a decision for the hardware that will be used inside the boardroom. So this is an iPad. It's kind of like a flip phone. There you go. It's an iPad. It'll sit firmly on your desk. You can pass it around. The goal is to get rid of this on your desk right? That's one of the goals. The other goal is to have a system that is compliant and secure. So compliance is with state and federal regulations. Secure means that you have to authenticate. You can't just get in and do whatever you want on these. So it uses our security systems, our management systems. So there are several vendors out there that we will be looking at that provide the software to do that. They're called board portals. Inside those board portal systems are features such as collaboration within the board together. So for instance, if you guys communicate with each other through the system, Lisa's automatically copied so that all the minutes are always taking place. There is no accidental quorums. There's none of that going on. Also, it allows you to create the agenda, post the minutes, post everything in a secure environment. And then also typically, it's based on the system. I've really only looked at one system. We're going to look at more. But allows the ability to publicly post the agenda on the public facing part of the portal. So it is hopefully much less work, much less overhead, more efficient. Also, most of them have the feature of remote attendance to the board meetings, regardless of where you're at. It still will be voting the same way all the time, every time. So stuff like that. That's what we're looking at. So we've got the hardware picked out. We have not picked out the software provider yet. So
is it true if the president says yay or nay or yes or no or whatever, that doesn't matter anymore with the system? You press a button.
Yes.
yeah,
Please vote is what I'll say.
chat door opens.
Yeah. So Mark brought several, just to kind of let you know how that happened. So he looked at several things as we discussed, you know, do we want a mini computer, a laptop, you know, what did we want? So I kind of think we talked about the software that and the things that we were going to want. And then for us, of course, we want it to be economical. We don't want it to be the expense to be large. So you kind of looked and could see, he felt like, and so he brought us 3 different ones. One was there were several pieces to it. We all said, well, then we'd have to keep up with several pieces. You got a case that it sets in, and I don't know. And this one, it'll allow us to have a use your finger, the mouse pads, which we want to say, yeah. Yeah, we put in an external mouse, but so in the end, I think that was kind of what probably. Justin, anything you want to add about kind of why we felt like that one maybe was the best?
Yeah, and I just think it'll be, you know, the simplicity of use, the ability, you know, if one did get lost, stolen, Mark's got the ability to wipe it, lock it, like it just gives us more of that secure feature at the same time.
Right.
The life of those devices are 6 years, corresponding with the length of a term for a board of trustees members. So, you know, a board of trustees member would get one when they're elected to the board, and then
And you only get one, so that if you lose it in your term, you don't get another one.
right.
So that-
Or if you're reelected, you're out of
Yeah.
luck.
If you're like me, I'm an old paper, I'm an old person, so
I can't stop that, but I can't stop that. No.
exactly. Well, thank you so much, Mark. We appreciate, you know, you doing that for us. So I just thought an update for you all to know where we were on that. So we'll continue to look at, we've talked about what are the things Lisa says, what are the things she needs in that, and we kind of had those conversations about for us. So Mark is on it, and we appreciate your work for that. Any other board discussion, something that you share, Amy?
You make me nervous. You look at me. I'm figuring what.
We just know he's gonna say something, don't we?
Well, I'm being good.
Amy, anything?
Nope.
All right, well, don't forget all those things that are on the list of activities that are going on. We're getting into a busy season after going today to the luncheon with the athletic, you know, my goodness. So they've given you, you know, you have several things. You have this that tells you games. We decided at our table, we couldn't read it. So we're gonna take a picture of it. And then we'll have it on here because we'll never know what it is. And then, of course, then you have here, so take note of that. Lots of activities going on with a lot of programs. So the next meeting for the general session will be held Tuesday, October 29th, 2024 at 5:30 here in the Hopkins boardroom. That is a change of the date that was approved in the April 25th, 2024 board meeting. And it looks like there will be a work session preceding that. We'll tour the new residence hall. So how exciting that'll
It
be.
was 4:45. I mean, we really had to hustle through it. The residence hall does have a lot more rooms, a lot more to see. Would it be trouble for you to get here by 4:30?
I may have a conflict for the work session that day.
We can always give individual tours too, if somebody necessitates, so. We'll tentatively schedule it for 4:30.
Okay. Anything else? If not, it's time to request for closed session. Before we do that, though, I will say that as soon as we're out of closed session, that we will then have general session meeting adjournment immediately following, because there will be no other business after that. So it's recommended that the board, that the meeting be adjourned for executive session pursuant to RSMO 610.021. For A, which is lease, purchase, or sale of real estate pursuant, and then hiring, firing, disciplining, or promotion of personnel. We'd like Dr. Murders, Keith, and Scott to stay with us, so I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
A second, right? Roll call.
Amy Brashear,
Yes.
Tim Carr,
Yes.
Justin Hobbs.
Yes.
Beth Page.
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Patricia Wood.
Yes. Thank you all for coming. Have a great evening and great rest of the week as well.